All right, so today we're gonna start working on the diffuser. And the first thing I have to do is measure out how this thing is gonna look. This is basically my diffuser right here, a baby version of it. So what we need to do is actually trim the bumper first before we make the diffuser. That way we know how much to go down, how much to, when I say how much to go down, how much lower we can go with the diffuser fins. Now, when I do my aero, they're pretty functional. I mean, I usually do the flat bottom and everything else. If you build a diffuser just for looks, that's cool too, I guess. But the main purpose of the diffuser is to channel and also obviously produce downforce, but channel the airflow. So what we're gonna do is create something that's actually functional yet still looks cool. A lot of people ask me why I have a freaking car cover inside a garage. Well, I don't drive these cars often. One, because I work a lot. Two, garage, they're actually pretty dusty. All right, so first thing we're gonna do, got this moving mat from Harbor Freight. Make sure that I don't scratch my bumper when I drop it. So I'm gonna disconnect the sides, both sides obviously, and then the inner bolts inside here. You guys can't see that, but the inner bolts attaching the bumper support to the back of the car. That way I could just drop the whole bumper without undoing all the little clips here. I think that should be pretty possible. I don't want to take all this off because it's a pain in the ass, and I don't think I need to. So we'll see how it goes. Best tool ever. This is a T-handle. I'm using 4, I think this is a 3 actually. 3 mil. So, what we want to do is take out the corners first. The last thing we'll take out is the middle bolts. You want this to hang for a minute. Probably gives me time to clean it too. It's probably pretty dirty in there. Look at all that shit. Dude, this thing is like a fucking dust collector. Look at that. Oh my god. That's not good. Yeah, that's so bad. I'm sure that probably added a little bit of scratching to my setup. Probably should get my vacuum out here. Now I'm using these plastic black washers. Prevents the screw and the, not the screw, the bolt, the Allen bolts from jacking up your paint job. A lot of people use the metal ones. A lot of people, I mean me as well, because I use that for my Cayman. And that's how I learned that if you don't use plastic washers, you're gonna leave marks on your paint job. Oh boy. I am hearing a lot of debris falling right now. Jesus. Yo, look at that shit. I need to add something here. Youch. All right, so for the Rocket Bunny guys saying that I'm not low enough, look at this. I take this off my head. You see that? That's like a finger. That's how much travel I have left. And it sometimes hits it, as you can see, very lightly, but this is already the top of the frame. This is the top of the frame. So a lot of people will say, bro, you can go lower, though. Lower, dump it. Yeah, you're wrong, because that's as slammed as you can get. This is a lot lower than the factory lines. If you guys remember the episode where I cut the fenders, it's freaking high. So that's why when I say my car's low, I'm not kidding. It's pretty low. This thing actually looks pretty wicked. Look at that. Freaking fatty. Left and right. Just rock it like this. Looks like a freaking dragster. Alright, so next thing we're gonna do is there's 4 bolts, I think 4, 3, maybe 3, 4, I don't know what it is. Bolts inside the bumper, there and there. Take that off and it'll drop this whole thing, I think. I could be wrong. Alright, so the 4 bolts that we're actually removing are right here. That guy, the other guy on the other side, and same on this side. And I think I can just drop the whole bumper that way, but we'll see. We gotta replace, or not replace, we gotta remove this bolt as well. And check that out. You can't see it, but it's actually a hex, because I hate regular bolts or screwdriver type Phillip heads. All right, we're gonna put a piece of tape on this top side, just in case we slip. Cheap, or slip cheap. Tape is cheap, paint job's expensive. So we got our 14. We're gonna go down here. I'm not even sure if you can see all this, but if you can, good. If not, I'm taking off those 4 bolts. Take these bolts off. Easy peasy. So just loosen them up and then use your hand to take them all off. Now, I've never actually looked up how to cut the rear bumper and how people notch theirs for their diffusers, but I have enough experience with doing it with other cars and other builds that I'm just gonna wing it. But first things first, I'm gonna take this whole piece out. I'm just gonna cut straight and take this out, because this is actually in the way. And hopefully I don't jack anything up by doing that, but I could always just reinforce the frame another way. All right, with those 4 bolts removed, I dropped the bumper, which I didn't expect to be, well, that easy. I thought it wasn't gonna come off, but it did. Kind of a good guess, I guess. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna draw a line straight across this, boom. I'm gonna cut off these 2 extra bolts down here and this giant post. That way my diffuser can go as high as possible. And yeah, that's about it. So we're gonna put this aside and go from there. I think I'm gonna cut this first and then I'll put this back on, then remeasure. Then we'll go from there. We have a little drip pan here to catch all the shrapnel, and hopefully we don't screw ourselves. It should be long enough. We'll see. Should probably tape the upper part so we don't scrape it up. You know, just because you can't see it doesn't mean you don't take care of it. We'll just tape this up real quick so we don't scratch it up. There you go. Here we go. Wish me luck. All right, nothing to hit back there. Just gonna go straight. lock this down first. Probably go closer. There we go. I can't see the shit. There we go. I can see. It's moving. See that? Moving along, but I'm starting to wear through that tape. Put a little bit more. Okay. Here we go. Still sharp. Tough getting through that second layer. There it is. Clean cut. I mean, other than this corner popping off right here, it's as clean as you're gonna get. I didn't fuck it up too bad. I think we're looking pretty good. Take off our tape here so we can see what happened. Yeah. Not bad, see? Better than I thought. This is fairly straight. I'm gonna hit this with a grinder or a file, something, but I'm not gonna leave it like that. Down here, fairly straight. It's as straight as it's gonna get. And then I still have this hole right here to mount my my splitter rod or splitter bracket. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna file this down a little bit. It's not so damn sharp. And then we can move on to the next step. So I skipped all the recording because, well, it just took so damn long. I don't want to sit there just recording me cutting the whole time. But I essentially just use the Sawzall again. Worked great. So we're just gonna clean this up a little bit. Take off these areas that we won't need. Oh. There we go. All right. There goes our half bumper. Looks all right. Not perfect, but good enough. Fairly straight. Straight as it can get. So now we just need to put these guys back where they belong. Then we should be good. I don't expect you guys to see this, but it's just the 4 bolts, or the 2 bolts now, holding the bumper. Once these boys are in, we're gonna tighten them up. See if we're aligned. If we're aligned, we should be good. All right, so everything's back together. Everything lines up. As far as I see, looks pretty good. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna measure how much I want the diffuser to kick up, and then I'll end up cutting the bumper that way. I'm probably gonna cut all the way up here. So that's a good, like, from the tip of this bottom right here to here is probably like a good 10 inches from here to here. All right, day 2. We've installed the bumper. I think we did that yesterday, and then taped it up and used a lot of rulers to draw our line. Here you go, see that? The side's kind of cool because it's cut slanted, or not cut, but it's lined up. It's gonna be cut soon. So it's not just a straight line. I wanted to do that because the diffuser is gonna be like this, not straight. And I'm not sure if you can see the line from this angle, but it starts about right there. So we're gonna take off about half of the bumper and go from there. We're gonna use the same air saw that we used for the quarter panel cut, and hopefully it looks good. This line looks pretty even. I mean, what I did was I measured from the molding right here to here, and I marked about 4.5 inches all the way across. It should be fairly even, but if it's not, you could always sand it down. All right, so next step, we're gonna get our compressor, our air saw, and start cutting it up. The bottom over here, we've already cut. This is the tow hook mount. We've cut, so now we have this empty space. We've also removed the muffler, so that won't be in the way. So I'm using a 18 TPI freaking tip here, and that kind of causes it to stick together. So I had to separate it with a blade. Hopefully I don't fuck shit up. Okay, on this side, but I guess I just pull. There you go. Bottom of the bumper. Now the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna have to cut this right here, because it's kind of exposed. So I'm gonna have to line that up and cut that next. There you go. Cut and clean. Now I still gotta sand some of this stuff down, but most of the work's already done. Now we're gonna sand this thing down, 200 grit. line's looking pretty clean. I'm just gonna make sure that it's completely straight, and then we'll move on to cutting this piece right here. But I wanna make sure this is completely leveled before we move on, because I'm a little Nazi with being perfect, so make sure that that's good and all. So what we're using to get that angle super straight is this 200 grit sandpaper on this Orbital Craftsman sander. Easy. And my tool of choice to cut those things is my AirCat air saw. And I got this from I think Amazon? Yeah, I got this on Amazon. AirCat air saw. Just buy this on Amazon and make it your best friend, because if you're doing any sort of car stuff, you're gonna end up cutting things, and this is your best friend. I mean, a lot of people will say grinder works great too, but I feel like I got a lot more control with this, because you could cut the body with this and bumpers. Like, try to take a grinder through that. Alright, so the way we're gonna check that this thing's true is by using this gigantic straight edge. And we're just gonna see if we can spot gaps. It looks like we're pretty damn true. We got that pretty damn good, actually. Huh. Next step, we're gonna grab this 1 foot piece of wood. I wrapped it with 100 and, well, it's not 100, it's 220 grit sandpaper. And then we're just gonna run it on the bottom right here to make sure that it's completely straight. And just do this for a minute here. It's a very time-consuming process, but at least you know you're 100% legit. It's not a race. Super straight. And not as jagged now. Might be able to hit this area right here a little bit more. Alright, so after the 220 grit and then 400 grit, looks like we didn't even touch it. See that? Perfectly straight, perfectly smooth. You can't even tell. Now we cut that bad boy. Alright, so what I did here is I placed my ruler on top of this straight edge, and then this is about 1 inch up. We're gonna cut this whole thing out. Done. Perfect. There you go. I just gotta do one more side and we should be good.